You ever have one of those flights where you just want to fade into the background, just another face in the crowd, a crossword puzzle in your lap, maybe a cup of burnt airplane coffee, and that's it? Now picture this, 37,000 feet above the Nevada desert, the sun bleaching everything below bone white, and then suddenly, boom, they're at ISIN F-22 Raptor sliding, and so close you can practically see the pilot's helmet bobbing through the cockpit glass. Phones are out. Faces pressed to the window, everybody scrambling for the next viral moment, but may barely lift my eyes from a seven-letter clue, just like I've seen it all before because I have. You know what I mean? The thing is, I picked seat 12F for a reason: good view, no bathroom foot traffic, just the right amount of wing below to ride the turbulence like a Cadillac. I'd learned after 52 years and a lifetime's worth of airports that comfort was all about the little choices. Dark blazer, slacks, hair up tight, shoes flattened and draw attention. Don't set off the alarms. I was headed from Tucson to Virginia for a job interview. After almost 2 years out of work, my old company shuttered, my prospects as thin as airplane napkins. Nobody on that Boeing could see the titanium plate in my shoulder, the hairline scar under my bun, or the way I kept clocking exits and cataloging faces out of pure habit. All they saw was another middle-aged business traveler, probably a little too good at being invisible. For most of that flight, I was content to stay that way. Close world, seatbelt snug, avant angle de routine. But then the buzz started. You know how it is, some kid pointing, a man elbowing his wife. Look, and there was that Raptor gliding beside us, maybe 500 feet off the wing. No ordnance, just all business. My brain went into automatic, assessing angle, speed, configuration. Some part of me still quietly thrilled because back in the day, that was my world. The cabin got restless. Flight attendants doing their best to calm folks, but they're clearly as giddy as the rest, sneaking glances, whispering. One comes up, Jennifer Blonde, steady hands, the kind of woman who can de-escalate a toddler or a businessman with equal skill. Pretty exciting, huh, she says, nodding at the jet outside, her smile half nervous, half sincere. I just say they're good pilots and look back at my puzzle because showing interest only brings more questions, and honestly, I'd rather not get into it. But inside, my brain's burning with old memories: Nellis Air Force Base, restricted programs, midnight data runs, and the smell of hydraulic fluid. I'd been there when the F-22 was still a black project, when the future was all blueprints and adrenaline, and no one outside a small circle even knew the Raptor existed. Before everything changed, before the accident and the medals and the medical retirement, before I became a ghost in civilian life. The pilots outside were holding perfect formation, but something didn't feel quite routine. Passengers started settling down, excitement giving way to curiosity, the initial novelty wearing thin. I'm back to my puzzle, filling in fighter for a clue, using the same kind of government-issue pen I used during my 23 years in uniform. When suddenly here, it comes the captain's voice crackling over the intercom, telling us this is a routine training escort, and we'll be on our way soon. But the jets don't peel off. In fact, they move a little closer. That's when things get interesting. Maybe 20 minutes after the F-22s show up, there's an announcement that the military wants to talk to a passenger in seat 12 FME. Cabin goes dead silent. Everyone's craning. Even the baby in 8C stops wailing. Jennifer appears like she's been teleported. Ma'am, the captain would like a word, if you don't mind. So I close my puzzle, stand up, and walk the longest 20 rows of my life, passengers whispering. Wonder what she did, doesn't look like much. Maybe she's in trouble all the way to the cockpit. Captain Reynolds is there, old school, gray hair, sharp eyes, First Officer Martinez by his side. Ma'am, never had a request like this. The lead pilot out there wants to speak to you. Says it's authorized. And when I look out the cockpit window, I see the lead jet's tail Numera Squadron from Langley, a unit I'd worked with on the original test flights. The call sign comes through, Viper 1, and I know, right then, that this isn't a coincidence. I put on the headset. The pilot's voice comes through Major David Chun, now lead of the very squadron we sweated blood to get operational, and he wants verification. Call sign. Last duty assignment. So I say it, simple as you like Ghost. Last assignment. Edwards Air Force Base, avionics integration. There's a long, heavy silence, then a different kind of respect in his voice. Ghost, it's an honor. We have a situation, need your immediate consultation. Are you able to accept a priority, divert to Nellis? You ever have a moment when you realize the world's about to upend itself again? I thought about my job interview, my quiet life, the comfort of being just another face in the crowd. But you can't run from your own story. My clearances had been reactivated hours ago under emergency protocol. Something was wrong with the F-22s. Co-black, systemic, possibly catastrophic. They needed me. We got redirected to Las Vegas military escort all the way. The jet's now flying, so tight you could count rivets. Jennifer asks, "Is everything all right?" And I just say, "Military business. Nothing dangerous, just important," because the truth would sound crazy. The rest of the flight, my mind is already on threat analysis, contingency planning. By the time we touch down, the Nevada landscape looks more like a war zone than a test range. Black Hawk helicopter waiting, 2 airmen in dress blues, one of them, Sergeant Torres, hands me a flight suit and says, "Colonel Patterson requests your immediate presence at the test facility." Now, let me back up a sec. Colonel Jim Patterson was the kind of man who could break down an engine or a politician with equal grace. We'd worked together years before, and seeing him no grayer, maybe a little more tired, but just as sharp reminded me of the stakes. "Ghost, we've got a problem," he says, leading me through new barriers and checkpoints, "and it's bad enough we pulled you off a civilian flight." Briefing room, lights low, classified files stacked high. F-22s were experiencing mysterious avionics, failure sensor, fusion glitches, comms dropping out, but only above 35,000 feet, only during specific surveillance profiles. At first, they thought it was a software bug. But then, they found phantom signals electronic warfare, but not from any known source, and aimed directly at the systems I'd helped design. Someone out there was targeting America's most advanced fighters with surgical precision. The room's full of Tension Lieutenant Colonel Kim, Dr. Marcus Webb from DIA, Captain Lisa Morgan, lead test pilot. They want me to figure out how someone could get this deep inside the F-22's brain. As I'm sifting through the logs, something clicks. The signals are too sophisticated for random jamming. Somebody's mapping our vulnerabilities using knowledge only a handful of people in the world should have. Captain Morgan's scheduled for a test flight to trigger the interference, but I stopped them. You need more than a single aircraft up there. This could be an act of aggression, not just a bug hunt. We need ground simulation, more data, and a full sweep of everyone who's had access, especially foreign nationals and American personnel with sketchy backgrounds. Twist comes fast, turns out. The pattern matches issues reported with F-35s and even some satellites. This isn't just an F-22 problem. It's a systemic attack, possibly inside help. I dive into the personnel files cross-referencing, looking for anomalies, and I find one. Dr. Richard Blackwood, a senior engineer with access to every major F-22 upgrade, flagged for financial irregularities and international travel. When the FBI moves to surveil him, he slips away with professional-grade counter-surveillance. Not your average nerd. Meanwhile, our ground sim confirms the interference is coming from modified commercial satellites, meaning millions of dollars, massive infrastructure, and, state-level backing. As intel streams in, the net widens. Similar attacks hit allies in the UK, France, Australia. The primaries suspect China's Ministry of State Security, using a network of compromised insiders. It's espionage on a scale nobody was ready for. Urgency ramps up me old life, shoving its way into the present. I get medical clearance, dust off my flight suit, and after some brutally honest conversations about risk, agree to fly the first live countermeasure test in an upgraded F-22. Patterson, Webb, Morgan Theory counting on me. The plan is to let the enemy jam us, then fight back with new AI-driven defenses. If the countermeasures fail, well, there's always the ejection seat. Takeoff adrenaline buzzing, familiar stick in my hand, displays brighter, more crowded than I remember. At 30,000 feet, the first probe starts subtle, clever. By 35,000, it's a full electronic assault, but the new systems kick in, hopping frequencies, encrypting faster than the jammers can keep up. It's like watching chess played at the speed of light machine versus machine, both learning, both adapting. For a while, it's neck and neck me avionics flicker, recover, flicker again. The hostile AI is smarter than anything I've ever seen, but so is ours, evolving every second. Then abruptly the attack just stops. Silence. The ground team confirms the enemy AI pulled back, deciding we're too hard to target, at least for now. When I land, I know the battle's only begun. Data review goes on for hours, and Blackwood's captured in Mexico with other members of the network. The operation, spanning years and continents, is exposed, but the implication hangs over us. This kind of warfare never ends. It only gets more complex. Back on the tarmac, Patterson brings 2 coffees, one for me. One for him, a ritual as old as our careers. So what now, Ghost? You go back to Tucson, or sticking around? I watch the plains, the sunset burning orange on the desert. After everything, I realize I belong in the fight. I think Ghost is ready to come out of retirement. I say, there's work left to do. He just smiles. We need you. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like that invisible armor I'd wrapped around myself is finally falling away, replaced by purpose. The threat's not gone. If anything, it's evolving. More AI, more shadows, more questions. But I'm ready to meet it, not as a ghost, not as a passenger, but as the test pilot who helped build the future and now maybe gets to save it. So what would you do if you were me? Would you go back to civilian life? Or stay in the fight when you know what's at stake? Drop your thoughts in the comments, right? Wrong, justice, loyalty, whatever's on your mind. And hey, if this story hit home, share it, subscribe, and stay tuned, because in this world, the next twist is always closer than you think.